Hello guys, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and another kit review for you today. And before we start, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and if you want to see more of my videos, hit the notifications bell, and you'll get notified of everything else coming up. And I do put out quite a few videos. So basically here we're going to have a look at the Hasegawa kit. This is the F-35 Lightning II. This is the B version. There's actually three versions. There's the A, which is just the fighter. There's the B, which is the short takeoff vertical landing version. It's basically a replacement for the Harrier. And then you've got the other version, I think it's called the C version, which is actually a carrier-based normal aircraft. Don't know a hell of a lot about it. I will tell you a little bit about what I do know when I get into the box, but I saw Phil Flory's build of this and just wanted it. It's just one of those models. Sometimes you see a build of a kit, you think I really want that. 72nd scale is not my thing, although you know I'm doing lots of B-52 stuff because 72nd scale is a handleable size, shall we say, and although I've got the 48 scale, that's a monster. But yeah, I was going to get the Kitty Hawk 48 scale, but I'm kind of waiting for Tamiya to come out with something, and they've just released one, and it's actually the Itinerary kit, so thought I'd get this one instead. So basically I have had a very quick look in the box. I haven't opened any bags or anything. I've had a quick flick through the instructions, so we'll have a look at it together. So let's have a quick look around the box first. Hasegawa kit number E46. You could say it's got a license from Lockheed Martin. So F-35 Lightning II B version US Marine. Looking around the box, and that's probably the kit number there, 01576. And then we've got a nice image there of the model as I will build it. It's got everything all open, the jet nozzle pointing downwards, and canopy open and everything. So yeah, really nice. We've got a length of 217 millimeters, a wingspan of 148 millimeters, and only 101 parts. So it's a 2018 kit, as you can see there. So let's get into the box. Quite surprisingly, we've got all the sprues just chucked in a bag, and I saw that clear sprue in there and I thought no, and then I noticed that the actual canopy is here in a separate bag, which is nice. That is basically a stand, which is a nice touch. You don't often get stands in kits these days. And then down in here we've got a beautiful decal sheet, and at the bottom here we've got the instructions. So let me get the lights sorted out, and then we'll have a quick look through the instructions, and then we'll go through the decals and the plastic. Okay then, so I've just realised I haven't built a Hasegawa kit for years. Probably the last Hasegawa kit I built was probably 40 years ago. Yeah, I'm trying to, even longer than that perhaps. I can't remember the last Hasegawa kit I built. The last I can remember building was a little 148 scale Jeep. But anyway, so they are a very nice touch. They've got very hard plastic, usually very fine detailed panel lines and really nice instructions and everything. So let's have a look and see how we go. So throughout the instructions here we've got some, basically in Japanese, we've got the some history on the aircraft, and here we're talking about it, Joint Strike Fighter and everything, and which is where I come in. And then we've got the description about the aircraft and everything there. And then going over the page here, we've got it's not a book type, it's an opening out instruction manual. So we've got our sprue layout here, and then we've got parts not used, and there's only a couple of bits and pieces, so we're going to keep 3 polycaps. There's a little greebly there, and there's a few bits of the stand we don't use. Paint callouts here, we'll talk more about that later. Basically they're all in the Mr. Colour range, so you've got the aqueous paints down here and the lacquer paints down here, which is basically what they're telling you there. Very informative instructions. As I say, I have had a flick through, and it really is nice the way they do this. It's almost Bandai-esque, but you get it in English. So here we've got this is like the outer side of the inner intake going together here, so that's going to slot inside to the outers. So basically this is like the inner walls of the two tubes, if you like. So it's telling you here your paint codes and everything, and that's all going to be white. And then you've got 306 there, which is your grey 36270. So basically you can sort of build it and paint it as you go and get the intakes all done. We'll look at the parts in a minute. We'll see if we've got an ejector pin marks to deal with, but I don't know how the design is going to look with the seam marks. So not too sure about that. We'll have a look at that when we look at the plastic. So we've got to drill some holes here in the upper fuselage. We're going to add some, looks like rudder pedals or something in there, or either that or it's actually a location aid. It looks like it probably is a location aid. But location aids going in here, more location aids going in there. This is the lower half, and then we've got our gear bays going in there, so it's just one piece of fair dropping down in. And then we've got our nose gear bay is here, which is probably, it's moulded in with the lower part, and then it's telling us to drill some more holes here. Nice touch, they actually give the diameter to drill them to as well, which a lot of companies don't do. And then we've got the B6, that's just going to be a one piece rear end there going in, that's for the jet exhaust. And then you've got the intake going in there, you're going to drop it all down together, and that's it, your main fuselage is built. Then we're coming on to the exhaust nozzle, and as I say, I watched Phil Flory build this, and this is all a bit tricky and it's designed to work and everything, I think. But basically, you probably best just choose where you want it and just glue it in, you know, in the position you want it set at. So once that's done, we're going to move on to the seat. One thing I did want to talk about, in my early days when I was working at Rolls-Royce, as it says at the beginning here, this was actually part of the JSF project, and it was very, very secret. And I remember as a machinist, I was given a job to do, and it was a very large ring, and it looked like a bearing track. One of the jobs I used to regularly make was the inner and outer bearing tracks for the hot and cold, or the scarf nozzles on the AV8B Harriers, and they were like a very tough steel, and they had a bearing track in them that you actually formed rather than generated. You did it on a manual machine, and you actually went in with a radius form tool, and then you polished it with coconut oil. It was an incredible manual process. And then I was asked to do one of these huge rings, and I didn't know what it was, and I kept asking questions and no one would say anything, and it was all a bit sort of, you know, hush hush. And then I accidentally happened to spot one of these assemblies in a room that I probably shouldn't have been in, but anyway, I saw this huge jet exhaust assembly mounted on a jig, and it was actually hanging down, and I thought that's what I've been making. I kind of had a feeling that's what I'd been making, and I'm not sure if it was for this one or for the Boeing one. I don't know enough about the Boeing one, but if it was for this one, then great, thumbs up to me. So basically, that was around the time we were doing the EJ200s for the Eurofighters. I actually finished machining the first two combustion chambers for that engine, and yeah, I was really chuffed with that. Really proud of that. Was a little achievement to take to the grave with me. Anyway, I digress. So we've got the cockpit seat here going together. We've got a four-piece cockpit seat, which is nice. Then we've got the instrument panel here. Looks like we've got a decal for it, which is a nice touch. It's telling us here to paint a couple of little bits and pieces. Not sure how these decals are going to respond, but we'll perhaps practice with some spare ones or whatever. I can go back and watch Phil's video. They look like they go down beautifully. And then we've got the vertical fan there, and then it's a nice touch. We've got separate slats on the wings. And this is what I say about these instructions being really informative. They're telling you to put this on after you've fitted the decal. Now, I can only assume that the decal 80 is going to be the main, yeah, it's going to be that main decal there, and I've forgotten the ram tape. So they're telling you to put that on after you've put that on, which is a really nice touch. The likes of, you know, Trumpeter et al., you know, wouldn't tell you that. They wouldn't think to put that in, and you go and put them in and then find that you got a nightmare fitting the decal. So it's a nice touch. You got the vertical stabilizers going in. Unfortunately, the rudders are all in one piece by the look of it. And then we've got the coming over the page here, we're going to add we've got a choice of flaps, and then we've got our tailplanes going in, or elevons, whatever you want to call them. And then we've got the nose gear and the main undercarriage gear all going together. Got that grille there, it's going to be like a FOD grille. Undercarriage doors going in if you're doing it in the flying position. I'll be doing it in the park position. And then we've got what's this here? This is going to be, it's undercarriage door with an actuator on it by the look of it. But all very beautifully detailed, some really good painting instructions. And yeah, very, very nice indeed. Will make a great kit for a beginner, I think, this one, because it looks fairly simple, and it really does guide you all the way through with your colours and everything. There's no guesswork. The only thing a beginner may struggle with is this massive decal sheet, but more on that later. So, park position, we can have the door open over the vertical fan, and then we've got this here, which is that's obviously some sort of air intake or something, I'm guessing. I'll find out more about it. So no doubt somebody will tell me in the comments. And then here we've got the, in the flying position, you can have all that closed up. So you've got the same panels, yeah, D5 and D6. It's just so that it's the same panels. They just go in flat rather than open. And then here we've got the lower parts installation, it's saying. So we've got a part here which is covering a camera, I'm assuming, or maybe a forward looking infrared or something, not too sure what that is. And then we've got some doors here which are covering up. We've got a pitot tube, and it's telling us again to put that in afterwards, after we do the after we put a certain decal in. And yeah, very, very nice indeed. And then coming over the page, final assembly, we've got the canopy here, which is unusual and that opens forward. What is a very nice touch, you've got this frame here which goes inside over the inside, and it's a no cement. So that's a really nice touch. That's just going to clip in, and obviously it's tapered one way to fit in properly. And then you've got the actual hinge mechanism there by the look of it, and that's going to you have the canopy in the open position or in the closed position. You're going to change those parts. And then when we come down here, we've got an additional handicraft. It's the antenna, or it's going to be the deck cord where the canopy breaks open for the ejection. I'm sure it's a deck cord. And then putting the stand together and adding the stand to underneath if you're having it in the flying mode. You could also use that, I guess, if you were if you're having the wheels down, you could have it in hovering mode. So coming over the page now, we get onto the painting instructions. Now this is a pretty major part of the model. In the instructions they're telling you to paint it in colour 13, which is 13 is H53 neutral grey. Now I've got H53 here, which is this one, and that to me looks way too light. When you compare it to the RAM panels, the colour is just no. So basically I've got this MRP paint from Premium Hobbies, and this is basically MRP 278 and 280. These go together, and this is basically a special matte varnish with a metallic pigment in it. So you can see, I don't know if you can pick it up in there on the camera, but there is a very slight, very faint metallic pigment in it, and this one is basically 36170, which you can see is a lot darker than the neutral grey there. And even when you look at the box top, you can see here that the actual aircraft looks quite dark in colour, and the RAM tape is lighter against it. So I've chosen, that's what I've decided to do. So we'll have to get the masks on and get the extractor on, and luckily this model being so small, it'll go in the spray booth easily. But that I think is going to look really impressive. And just as a sideline, I put in 36170 into Google and found a ARC Aircraft Resource Centre had done somebody had done a test with all the different manufacturers of this colour against the actual swatch, and it looked like the MRP one was the best. Certainly some of them had a much too heavy metallic flake in them to my eye, and some of them were way too light. But basically going to be using that on this because it looks lovely. So get that on there and then give it a gloss coat, and then get our decals on, and hopefully get no silvery, because there are a million decals, as you can see here. So this is our decal sheet, and we can see, just check you're not glossed out, you can see we've got a lot of decals on one sheet, and all the RAM panels are all beautifully made. You've got this huge panel that goes across the back end here, or across the back of the aircraft, and then going over more and more around the nose, around the top, hundreds of them. So lots and lots of work to do, and it's nice to see as well they've got with these here, the carrier film is around the outside edge rather than making it whole, you know, one piece decal. And it's also nice, I noticed here they've got the carrier film is supporting that, so you haven't got this leg hanging out on its own, which is always a nightmare when you're laying them down. The decal always just wants to sort of flop around and fall about. So yeah, very nice touch. And then somewhere down here, there's those deck cords, around 10 or whatever they are, you can put on the inside of the canopy. So that's a nice touch, very nice touch indeed. So yeah, really, really cool. So that's the decal sheet. Put those out of the way. And here you can see the Decor Callouts, and we've actually got two versions we can build. So the first one is Green Knights, Ayuakini Base 2017, and then the Wake Island Avengers 2016. So I'm not really sure which version I'll do yet, but I will be doing one of them, obviously. So that's the instructions. Let's have a look at some plastic. Get those out of the way. I have debagged the sprues. They came in one bag, as I said, and when I saw the clear sprue running around, I was quite shocked. One part broken off, got the instrument panel there which is broken off. But typical Hasegawa, as I said, I can't remember the last time I built one of these, many years ago. But very, very hard, very, very glossy, very clean plastic. As you notice, like most trumpeter kits these days, well, it's particularly Airfix, they've always got this sort of satiny finish to the plastic, and particularly that 1/24 Hellcat is very, very grainy, whereas Hasegawa tend to be very, very smooth, and a lot of their older kits are actually quite glossy. So nice to see that they've carried on. This has got a sort of semi-gloss to it, but great if you're doing metallics, because obviously the smoother the plastic, the better it is for you. So we've got these parts over here which go in the upper and lower halves of the fuselage, and they're going to sort of lock it all together. Parts of the jet exhaust there, more parts here that go in the front end to lock the fuselage halves together, and then we've got the upper half here with the fan there. I'm assuming this is an intake, and then we've got the fan there and the cover going over the top, so that's going to sit in there, that's going to go over the top. It's a shame that isn't see-through, because it would have been nice to look down and see daylight. Whether you can or not on the real one, I'm not sure, but I would imagine it's just a couple of large fans blowing down there. So I'll give you a close-up of the detail on here. A little bit heavy, because the whole idea of having these lines on here is to remove any edges, and then straight away the manufacturers go and mould these edges in with panel lines. Some of them actually mould bloody great big raised huge lumps. So yeah, nice to see that they've done it as panel lines rather than range lumps. And then the decals gives you a nice guide to place your decals anyway. So that's the upper half of the fuselage. And then on this sprue here we've got the lower half. You can see we've got all the same sort of detail in here. These little areas in there, I'm not sure what they are, but I'm sure someone will tell me they're probably exhaust trims, aren't they, for trimming the aircraft left and right. I know the Harrier had them on the wing tips and on the nose and tail. So you can see the underside of the fan there. This is our nose gear bay. We've got a light or camera of some sort. Then we've got a clear part to go over that, and then we've got more jet parts. This is the rear insert that sits in here, so your jet exhaust is going to go in there, and then we've got the turbine and the actual jet exhaust here. So see the moulding on there is really, really nice. We've got this lovely shelf around here to protect it, which is just typical Hasegawa. Very, very thoughtful. We can see lovely detail in there, beautiful detail in that fan. And we've got the nose gear bay, lovely, beautiful detail there. Remember this is 72nd scale, guys. Then we've got some nice slide moulded detail on the sides there. Lovely. And on the inside, nothing much. And then moving on to here, we've got these are our interior parts. We've got the sides of the seat here. We've got the main central part of the seat here. I'm guessing that's the headrest there, is it? And then we've got the combing there for the instrument panel. The actual instrument panel itself is here. It's come off the sprue. I'll give you a close-up there. You have got some detail on there. But remember, you've got the decal to go in the middle, so we'll get that in and get some gloss varnish on that. Ever looking lovely. And it looks like this sprue is shared with other kits as well, because they've got gates here they close off to prevent the rest of it from being moulded. Got a pilot there, which is a nice touch. I won't be using it, but separate head, so you've got a separate oxygen tube, which is going to be nice rather than just have this lump of plastic hanging off his chest. And we've got positionable arms one holding the joysticks or the control sticks. So nice to see that rather than just having them with one hand on the knee and one on the chest like that monogram B-52 I'm doing. Little bits and pieces, little greeblies to go on the body here on the fuselage. Looks like we've got a control column there, some pitot tubes. But yeah, all very, very nice indeed. Beautifully moulded, very sharp. No real flash to speak of. And then here we've got the clear stand, which I won't be using, but I will keep it for something else, I guess. So we've got the actual main up right there, the base, and then there's a lot of this which isn't used, I noticed in the instructions. So, obviously, find the other instructions on how to use all these bits, and you've probably got a positional stand, a positionable stand. Right, moving on here. So we've got the intakes. This is the outside, sorry, it's the inner walls of the intakes. So you've got these here, which will go together, and then those going around them. So this is like, if you look into the intakes, and you've got two intakes here, this is the inner walls of them, and then these are the outer walls. So very nicely done. I'm assuming these are going to go over these and meet here, so we'll have no real seam as such to deal with. Might want to run some Mr. Surfacer down in the corners. We've got no seams on there or ejector pin marks or anything, although that has got some scratching damage on it by the look of it, where it's been rattling around in the box. But that's okay, that'll be nothing to polish out with a very fine stick. Inside of here we have got some ejector pin marks, but we can see that Hasegawa have done their utmost to make them as small as possible, and they've also got them blended out. So that'll be easy. A bit of Mr. Surfacer on them, that'll be that job done. And then we've got our elevons here, elevators, whatever you want to call them, tailplane stabilizers, and then you've got our fins here. So we've got no separate control surfaces on here, no separate control surfaces here, but we have got separate flaps, and we have got separate slats as well. So all very, very nice. This is obviously gear doors here. They've got the panels here for got some very small ejector pin marks, but these are the panels that open up on the upper fuselage where the air intake is and the fan. We've got the slats there that go into the bottom of the fuselage, which is nice. So yeah, all beautifully moulded. A little bit of clean up required where you've got all the ejector pin tabs, but obviously you're going to have those part of the moulding process, unfortunately. Unavoidable. And then here we've got our alternate flaps. I'm guessing one is going to be in the up position and one is going to be down, but we can look at that when we get into the build. More gear doors here. So we've got the gear doors here in the flying position, and we've got separate ones, so you don't have to split them in half. And then we've got the cover there. That's obviously for the underneath, I'm guessing. And then we've got this one here which folds down with the sawtooth on the edge. These here come out. So that's obviously in the flying position, and this is with them open, and you'll have the jet exhaust sticking downwards. And you've got these parts here which go inside these gear doors, these doors here which open up on the top. So yeah, all very nice. So I was wrong. This is not the top. This is somewhere else. So this is the top. This is going over the fan, and these are the doors going over the intakes on the top behind the cockpit. And then we've got here. This is our main spindle for our compressor fan. We've got some little door actuators there by the look of it. It looks like there we've got an inner panel for that door. So that looks like that's going to go in there. Yeah. So that's a nice touch. So in there, ejector pin marks don't matter. So yeah, what I was talking about here with ejector pin marks, ignore me, I was wrong. This is obviously another door for another area that opens. So yeah, very nice indeed. You've got the separate slats there with the engraved panel lines in them. And then finally this sprue here, we've got our canopy surround. I'm hoping that goes up inside the canopy rather than the canopy actually gluing to the edge, because that's always a problem. We have got the canopy over here. We've got our wheels and tyres there. We've got a nose wheel there. So nice to see it's not moulded in with the leg. And then we've got a cockpit here, which is, for a 70-second scale, is quite nice. And something that is worth noting, I noticed in Phil Flory's build, that just clips in. It doesn't even need to be glued. It's absolutely beautiful. So you can build your cockpit, you know, detail it up, add some harnesses, whatever, put it to one side, paint your model, decal it up, and then plop that in afterwards. Undercarriage base here, main undercarriage base, and we've got our main undercarriage legs, which don't have much work to do on a model this small. And then we've got nose gear there, and then we've got some door actuators or gear supports, whatever. Some more gear supports there. But yeah, show you all this close up. We've got the wheel detail here. It's all very nice. Cockpit there. Gear bays. Main gear. Struts. Nose gear. Canopy surround. And then that lovely piece that clips in here with no glue, which is a really nice touch. So yeah, lovely. And then we've got the actual, I'm not going to get it out, but we've got the clear canopy there, which is looking lovely. Looking at it, it looks like it's got no distortion to it at all. It looks like it, actually I will get it out for you. I can clip it out then, can't I? Grab my knife. What I'll do is get this out and then I'll tape it back up as soon as I finish the review. If I cut the bag open properly, that is. Yeah, very nice indeed. Very, very clear. Just looking down through there, we're probably going to get some distortion. I'll do my test here, so you can see we've got a little distortion, but nothing much at all really. You know, it's inevitable you're going to get some distortion because of the shape of it. But I would imagine even the real thing's got that kind of distortion in it. So yeah, very, very nice indeed. And I was just wondering if that's going to go up inside there. It looks like it does. Yeah, easy, that's going to go up inside. So a lot of kit manufacturers these days, it's like that Meng ME163. It kind of has the canopy gluing onto the edge of the frame. So, you know, it's a stupid idea. You've basically got to glue an edge that's visible. So yeah, really, really daft idea. Some manufacturers do that these days. But there we go. Really, really nice. So that's basically it, guys. That is the F-35 Lightning 2B version from Hasegawa. And I'll be building this soon online. And hopefully you'll join in and enjoy it with me. Like I say, I don't know a hell of a lot about the model. But that doesn't matter. If I want to build a model of it, I will. See you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.